There are war movies that impress you. And then there's Band of Brothers, a story that haunts you. When it first aired in 2001, it didn't feel like a TV show. It felt like a time machine, one that dropped you right into the mud, the fear, and the brotherhood of Easy Company. The parachute jump over Normandy, the endless nights in frozen Bastogne, the shock of finding the Dachau concentration camp. Every moment carried the heartbeat of men who lived and died for something greater than themselves. But behind this legendary series hides a mountain of secrets, pain, near breakdowns, censorship battles, and a level of realism that pushed actors to their limits. Today, on DCV-DHASS Classic View, we're opening the long-locked doors behind Band of Brothers. Get ready to uncover 20 shocking, emotional, and little-known facts that will forever change the way you see this masterpiece. Number 20. The cast accused the crew of exploiting them. What looked like perfect acting on screen was born from real suffering. Before filming even began, the cast of Band of Brothers was handed over to one man, Captain Dale Dye, a Vietnam War veteran famous for his no-mercy training. For 10 days straight, the actors were stripped of all comfort. They woke before dawn to the sound of military shouts. They ran for miles through freezing mud, climbed hills, built campfires, and slept under the rain with barely any food. No trailers, no hotels, no acting lessons. Only exhaustion, pain, and orders barked by Captain Dye. Damian Lewis, who played Major Winters, whispered one night, "I can't take it anymore. My legs are breaking." Captain Dye simply replied, "Then you're starting to understand what real soldiers went through." By the end of the camp, some vomited from exhaustion. Others broke down emotionally. But what they gained was unbreakable brotherhood, the exact bond that defined Easy Company. So when they stepped onto the film set, they weren't actors pretending to be soldiers, they were soldiers. Number 19. The STD scene that almost got cut. It's one of the rawest, most human scenes in the entire series, but it almost never made it to the screen. In the freezing Bastogne episode, Bill Guarnere, played by Frank John Hughes, confesses quietly near a campfire that he's suffering from gonorrhea, an infection caught during his time in London. Producers at HBO panicked. They worried it would offend viewers or cheapen the show's tone. But Spielberg and Hanks fought to keep it. "This is the truth," Hanks said. Real soldiers carried pain, fear, and sometimes even shame. War wasn't clean. That tiny confession, whispered in the middle of snow and gunfire, made Guarnere feel human. Not a hero carved in stone, but a flawed, real man trying to survive. That scene became one of the most quietly powerful moments in the entire series. Number 18. The $125 million gamble that changed television. When Band of Brothers began production, the TV industry thought Spielberg and Hanks had lost their minds. $125 million for a television series? That was more than most movies of the time. Sets were built from scratch. Entire towns were reconstructed in Hatfield, England. Real pyrotechnics, smoke machines, and special effects recreated the chaos of war down to the last spark. Tom Hanks said during a crew meeting, "We're not making a show, we're redefining what television can be." And they did. That risk opened the floodgates for the golden age of premium television, paving the way for The Pacific, Game of Thrones, and The Crown. Hanks and Spielberg didn't just tell a story, they changed an entire industry. Number 17. The real-world War II weapons. Every rifle, pistol, and machine gun seen on screen was real. Over 700 authentic weapons from World War II were collected and used on set, cleaned, maintained, and restored to firing condition. There were no plastic props, no fake sound effects. Every metallic click, every echoing gunshot was genuine. Neil McDonough, who played Buck Compton, said, "When you feel the cold steel and the kickback, you understand instantly how strong those men had to be." Captain Dye often reminded them, "You're holding history. Don't treat it like a movie prop." For many actors, firing those weapons was the moment they truly felt the ghosts of 1,944 breathing around them. Number 16. The hidden detail of fake ammo. Watch closely, and you'll spot it the shimmering brass shells during a reload scene. Those weren't live rounds, but blanks, created specifically for long takes, where stopping to reload would break the realism. An editor later confessed, "We left a few frames, showing the fake rounds intentionally, as a quiet nod that even a film this real still exists within art." Actors practiced hundreds of reloads until every movement looked effortless, just as a trained paratrooper would do in chaos. Ron Livingston, who played Nixon, said, "After a week, my hands were raw from loading blanks. But when the cameras rolled, I forgot they were fake." Number 15. The mysterious object Don Malarkey found. In Episode 2, Don Malarkey kneels beside a fallen German and picks something up. Most viewers assumed it was a Luger pistol, but it wasn't a gun at all. It was the sighting lens of a German 105mm cannon, an item that could shift the tide of battle. The filmmakers left the shot quick and subtle, as a gift for attentive viewers. Scott Grimes, who played Malarkey, said, "I practiced that movement over and over, because in real life, Malarkey really picked that up." That single detail, invisible to most, symbolized the obsessive accuracy that made Band of Brothers legendary. Number 14. One village, 12 battlefields. Normandy, Eindhoven, Bastogne, Germany. You saw Europe unfold across the series, but in truth, it was all filmed on one plot of land. The production team transformed a 1,100-acre field in Hatfield into over 12 different war zones. They built entire French villages, planted trees, dug foxholes, then destroyed and rebuilt everything again the next week. By morning, it was France. By night, it became Belgium. Damian Lewis laughed in an interview. "I'd wake up surrounded by haystacks and go to bed in a bombed-out German street, all in the same place." That incredible creativity allowed the series to look massive while keeping its heart grounded in one very real place. Number 13. The real Babe appears on screen. In Episode 4, Replacements, look closely during the Eindhoven celebration. Among the Dutch civilians waving flags stands an older man, quiet and emotional. That was Edward Babe Heffron, the real-life paratrooper whose younger self was being portrayed in that very scene when Robin Lang, the actor playing him, greeted him. Babe said, "You look just like me back then." Tom Hanks thanked him softly. "This one's for you, Babe, and for your brothers." It was more than a cameo. It was history standing next to its reflection. Number 12. More than half the cast were British. Over 50% of the main cast were actually British actors pretending to be American soldiers. Damian Lewis, Tom Hardy, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, and Simon Pegg, all born in the UK. Because the series was filmed in England, this made production easier, but it also proved the power of acting dedication. Lewis said, "The accent was brutal. It took me weeks to say Currahee right." Yet their accents were flawless, so flawless that most American viewers never noticed. They lived on set, trained together, and became a real company united not by nationality, but by brotherhood. Number 11. The secret rotating director. Most series have one or two main directors. Band of Brothers had 10. Each episode was given to a different filmmaker, including Tom Hanks himself, to ensure every chapter felt like a new perspective on the same war. A producer later revealed, We wanted it to feel like a soldier's diary. Every man sees the war differently. That rotation created a rare balance. Different tones and styles, but one shared heartbeat. Number 10. The truth about Dick Winter's letter. In one of the quietest, most beautiful moments, Dick Winters sits alone, writing a letter under dim light. For years, fans assumed it was addressed to his family, but the truth? It was written to Dieta Allman, his wartime secretary and emotional confidant. They were never lovers, but she was the one who gave Winters strength when the war broke him inside. He once wrote to her, "Thank you for always being here." It was a glimpse into the heart of a commander who carried every life and every death in silence. Number 9. The Bastogne scene was filmed indoors. It looked like the freezing hell of Belgium in 1944. In reality, it was a controlled studio in Hatfield, covered with 130 million pounds of artificial snow. The snow was made from cellulose and plastic, spread over fake trees, and chilled by giant fans to mimic real cold. Scott Grimes said, "We weren't acting when we shivered. We were actually freezing. It took weeks to prepare those sets, but it paid off. No audience ever guessed it wasn't filmed in real snow." Number 8. The real veterans who spoke before every episode. Those elderly men sharing memories at the start of each episode, they weren't extras. They were the real soldiers of Easy Company. Their voices were unfiltered. Their words were unscripted. "I remember the jump," one said softly. "It was dark, and I was sure I wouldn't make it." Their stories framed every episode like a prayer, a reminder that this wasn't just entertainment. It was testimony. Number 7. When the real Dick Winters left the set during filming, the real Major Dick Winters visited the crew. He saw rows of actors dressed in the same uniforms, carrying the same weapons he once did. He stood silently, his eyes wet, and then quietly walked away. Damian Lewis recalled, "He said to me, 'You look just like them. I can't stay. It's too much.' Later, he told Tom Hanks, 'You captured their spirit. Thank you for not forgetting them.'" It was one of the most emotional days in the entire production. Number 6. The Girl in Paris. In Crossroads, Nixon tells Winters he's going to visit a girl in Paris. Many thought it was just filler dialogue, but it's real history. That woman was Irene Miller, who later became Nixon's wife after the war. She represented a flicker of light in the darkness, proof that even in war, love still existed. Ron Livingston, who played Nixon, said, "That line wasn't about romance. It was about hope, the reason to survive." Number 5. Tom Hanks' hidden cameo. Few fans noticed it, but yes, Tom Hanks himself appears in the series. During a convoy scene, a mud-covered soldier leading captured Germans is Hanks in disguise. He says no words, just a faint smile. It was his personal tribute to the men whose story he helped tell. Number 4. The soldier's lighter trick. In the last patrol, Shifty Powers burns the front sight of his M1 Garand with a lighter. It's not random. It's an authentic paratrooper trick to blacken the metal, reducing glare from sunlight and improving aim. Ion Bailey, who played Powers, said, "We wanted to show how soldiers use small survival wisdoms to stay alive. It's those details that made them legends." Number 3. The song Blood Upon the Risers. In Episode 9, the men sing a cheerful tune, Blood Upon the Risers. It sounds fun, but the lyrics are horrifying. It's about a paratrooper dying when his chute doesn't open. That song was real, a dark army tradition. Soldiers sang it to laugh in the face of death. Damian Lewis said, "We sang with joy, but inside, it was a farewell to the ones who never came back." Number 2. The meaning of Currahee. The word shouted across battlefields, Currahee, wasn't just a chant. It came from the Cherokee language, meaning we stand alone together. It was the motto of Easy Company, from training to victory. It meant unity in isolation, one soul made of many hearts. Damian Lewis said, "Every time we shouted it, we felt their spirit in us." Number 1. The cast of future Hollywood legends. When Band of Brothers premiered, its cast was mostly unknown. Today, they are icons. Tom Hardy, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Simon Pegg all got their start in this series. James McAvoy once said, "It wasn't just an acting job. It was a rite of passage." The series didn't just create stars, it forged them, just like Easy Company itself. Band of Brothers isn't just a show. It's a memorial, a bridge between those who lived it and those who remember. Behind every explosion was discipline. Behind every tear was truth. And behind every name was a real man who stood together when the world was falling apart. This has been DCV, DHASS, Classic View, bringing history back to life, one story at a time. If this journey moved you, don't forget to stay with us, because there are countless hidden truths still waiting to be uncovered. Until next time, Kurahi, we stand together, always.